Good morning, everyone. At this time, Sensei, we're ringing the Kansho bell, and we'll get this service started. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see have you here this morning. We have a break in the weather. It kind of reminds me like in back in 1970, I was stationed up in Fort Lewis, Washington, and it was like this every day. So it's been a while, but it's kind of nice to have the rain. This morning, we'll start off with Sensei doing the announcement of service. And page 20 with him, and we'll begin. Thank you.
Bujo Mida Nyolai Niuno Jo Bujo Sha Undo Jo Songe La
Sutra Chanting, Sanbutuse. There's a misprint in the program, so please turn to page 33.
Today, on this occasion of the year 2023 Onko Service, the members of the Pasadena Buddhist Temple, our friends and our guests reverently repeat our reliance upon the three treasures of the truth. We rely upon the Buddha, we rely upon the Dharma, we rely upon the Sangha. Namo Buddhas, Namo Buddhas. Busatsu Daimuryo Jukyo Sanbutuse Nonpe Yunyaku Jumoku Nyolai Yogen Chose Murin Shogaku Daion Koru Jipo Kaimon Shojin Sammai Chie Itoku Muryo Shusho Keu Jintai Zennen Shobuten Hokai Gujin Jinno Kugo Gaitai Mumyo Yokunu Teison Yomu Ninno Shi Jintoku Muryo Kukundodai Chie Jinmyo Komyo Iso Jindo Daisen Ganga Tabuten Daisho Kado Shoji Mifu Gedan Kute Joi Kainin Shojin Nyose Sammai Chie Ito Kose Tokubuten Fugyo Shigan Isai Kuku Isadayan Keshi Ubuten Yakusen Okuman Shunyo Kuyo Isai Shito Shobuten Punyo Udo Sho Hungyaku Kinyo Goja Shobuten Sekai Ufu Kage Mushu Sekundo Komyo Shisho Kenshi Shokoku Nyose Shojin Injin Nanryo Yoga Thabuten Kokudo Daichi Oshu Kimyo Dojo Chozaku Kokunyo Nayon Nimu Toso Gato Aimin Dodaten Isai Jipo Raisho Shinnetten Shoujo Ito Gakoku Keiraku Annon Kobuten Shinmyo Zega Shinsho Otsugan no Hi Rikisho Shoyoku Jippo Seison Chie Muge Shoryo Shison Shiga Shingyo Keiryo Shinshi Shoku Dokushu Gagyo Shojin Ninju Ahuke Namandabu 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 Butsu, Namana Butsu, Namamita Butsu, Namana Butsu, Namana Butsu.
At this time, will the following representatives please come forward to offer Oshoko? Dharma School, you can do it, Owen. Come on up. Nice going. Good job. Sangha teens, YBA, Buddhist Women's Association, Pasadena Buddhist Temple, thank you, everyone. Will the congregation please rise for Gatha Ondokusan? And again, there's a misprint. You'll find this Ondokusan on page 116. I'm sorry, 146. And then please remain standing for a reading. I'll read this short passage. The tradition of what is taught in the tradition of Shinran Shonin, the entrusting heart is essential. For when we abandon various practices and take refuge in Amida with singleness of heart, our birth in the Pure Land is sealed by the Buddha through the inconceivable vow power. The state we thus attain is described as with awakening of a single thought of entrusting, those who are in the stage of the truly settled. Recitation of the Nembutsu thereafter should be understood to be the Nembutsu as an expression of gratitude for the Tathagata's benevolence for settling our birth in the Pure Land. Then Shonin. Namu Amitabutsu. Namu Amitabutsu. Namu Amitabutsu. May be seated. We'll now have a Dharma message by Reverend Gibbs.
We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo. Good morning. Thank you for being here. This is, I think, we've got more than 30 people in the Hondo today. In the old days, we wouldn't brag about that, but today we can. It's quite a large in-person turnout. I know some of you there are some of our loyal participants on the internet as well, and thank you for tuning in today. Whether in cyberspace or here in person, we thank you for being here. I want to thank Jerry Ito for chairing the service, half all the typos that I should have caught when I proofread it. I want to thank Alan Goto and Kathy Kumagai for putting this up on the internet for us so that others can participate. And also Kathy for playing organ, and thank my wife Kyoko Okura Gibbs for preparing the Naijin and the flowers. Now we have a big day ahead of us today, including our yearly meeting members, the general membership meeting, so I won't speak for too long this morning. This is our Onko Service, which is a memorial service for our denominational founder, Shinran Shonin. Shinran passed away at the age of 90, 850 years ago. Shinran Shonin was a top scholar at the Mount Hiei Tendai Buddhist complex, probably the most advanced Buddhist studies university. Now, I learned some things from Modern Nations I hadn't anywhere else. He learned, when you go to Mount Hiei or you go to some big Tendai place, you'll see these photos, these paintings of all these great teachers. Well, which one's Shinran? Right? You never have any trouble knowing which one Shinran is. He's the guy with the scarf. It's harder to see on this little embroidery that my friend Les did for me, but you can see it in the painting up on the Naijin. He has a big white scarf. That white scarf was an award for excellence in doctrinal studies. So I learned that from Reverend Dr. Ken Yamaguchi, and it puts us, it kind of helps us place Shinran. Shinran studied on Hiei for 20 years, and then he left. After 20 years of monastic studies, he came down to teach all of us. He came down to teach everybody who would listen. And so there's often a belief that he kind of had some kind of failure or something on Mount Hiei. He didn't have a failure, a big success on Mount Hiei. He got as far as a person whose rank of nobility could get. He was of a noble family that had kind of fallen. It's still considered nobility, but not the top flight. So he got as far as he could, being the kind of person he was. He left not because he did not excel. He did excel, as we know from his stuff. He did excel. He won an award for excellence in doctrine. He was not a failed monk. He left the monastic complex probably somewhat reluctantly, because monastic Buddhism in itself could not transform the lives of enough people. Monastic Buddhism, the nobility. And ordinary people like us, we would just make donations thinking, well, maybe next time I'll get to be a lot. But this wasn't Shinran's vision at all. This isn't the Buddhist vision. This was something odd that came up. Shinran left the monastic complex because monastic Buddhism, a kind of Buddhism where we all become monks and nuns, could not meet the needs of enough people. Monastic Buddhism is kind of like space exploration, right? A small number of people have this transformative experience of going out to space in these little capsules. A somewhat larger group of special people, scientists in the case of the space exploration, aficionados with leisure in the case, a certain group of very special people get a lot out of it. A small number of people get a tremendous lot out of it. And the rest of us benefit slightly, if at all, from monastic Buddhism. Shinran was looking for more. Shinran was looking for more, greater, fuller benefit for more people, for a lot more people. Shinran had learned in his doctrinal studies on Mount Hiei that Amida Buddha's vow assures all persons of inclusion in the enlightened realm. However, despite hearing this message that Amida Buddha's vows assure all persons of inclusion in the realm of enlightenment, what he saw was this inclusion and universality being explained by senior monks from aristocratic families to less senior monks from aristocratic families. Just a bunch of aristocrats sitting around talking to each other on a very pretty monastic complex. Levels in Kyoto. So after 20 years of study and practice on Mount Hiei, Shinran went down the mountain to join Honen and his movement in Kyoto, his movement of carrying the Nembutsu teaching to all who would hear it. The Nembutsu-centered religious movement which Shinran joined was broad-based, inclusive, and egalitarian. The tradition joined with Honen after leaving the monastic complex was broad-based, inclusive, and egalitarian in both theory and practice. In this broad stream of Mahayana Buddhist tradition, Nembutsu is the recollection of the Buddha's promise to us, the recollection of Amida's Buddha's promise to us in forms like Namo Amida Butsu, or often translated as we rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. This is the way we recollect the promise that has been evident to us. Honen and Shinran and Honen's other close students emphasized that trusting in that promise, a vow to awaken us all, is all that is required. Honen, his students Shinran, Shoku, and Seikaku understood that promise is real. Saying the Nembutsu in forms like Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, reminds us of the vow, of the promise. Shinran and Honen tried to explain to us that deep trust emerges in this process, an assurance that can carry us through our lives with meaning and connection. Discovered over time is that Buddhism became monastic when women started to become leaders. As long as you have 100% male monks, who needs monasteries? You sleep in the forest. But once we started ordaining nuns, it's just unfortunate that women are under more danger than men, even 2,500 years ago. So I think that, I bet that's what we're going to discover in time, that those two things came up together. But originally, they just lived in the forest. They wore rags that got out of the trash. They sewed them together and dyed them orange. That was 2,500 years ago. 800 and some years ago, Shinran Shonin found himself living in a lavish temple complex. I mean, I'm not saying those guys live lavish lives, but the complex is just beautiful. If you go up to Mount Hiei, beautiful place. They were wearing expensive robes and studying subtle philosophical principles with the children of other aristocrats. What the heck happened? That's what says. Nani? What the heck happened? We were homeless people wearing rags, and now we're aristocrats wearing silk. I don't, something went wrong, and Shinran was part of the movement back to the roots, back to what we really are, which is an awakening for all people. Looking carefully at the sutras, delving deeply into Buddhist philosophical principles, Shinran saw that the crucial matter was simply to rely on the promise of enlightenment. Saying the Buddha's name on occasion can help us to live our lives with gentleness and acceptance, but this is all we need. Writing about this deep faith in the Buddha's assistance, Shinran tells us, now reading from the Kyogyo Shinsho, the Kyogyo Shomon Rui, in reflection, great faith is not considered. The performance of religious practices is of no concern. It is a matter neither of practice nor good acts, neither meditative practice nor gradual attainment, neither sudden attainment nor contemplation, neither right contemplation nor wrong contemplation, neither thought nor no thought, neither daily life nor moment. None of this matters. It's neither saying the Butsu many times or merely one time. It is simply trusting the inconceivable, inexplicable, and indescribable trust that grows in our hearts. It is like a medicine that eradicates all poisons. Faith in the teaching of the Buddha is like a medicine that eradicates all poisons. The medicine of the Tathagata's vow, the medicine of the Amida Buddha's vow, destroys the poisons of wisdom and foolishness. As we've seen, poisons are things that make us weak. Holding on too tight makes them turn poisonous. Insisting on our views over makes us weak. Trusting traditions and processes can be healing. Trusting in persons and traditions can make us stronger. The Buddha does not discriminate amongst living things. Shinran is quite insistent on this point. He stresses this in the sutras. Shinran stresses it. The Buddha does not discriminate. We're all welcome. The Buddha guides us into a light that links us to all whom we love. And everyone is welcome in Amida Buddha's nirvanic realm. Remember that so far as entry requirements for Amida's realm of joy and goodness, we are told that the amount of evil one has committed is not taken into consideration. It just doesn't matter. So far as a religious tradition offering hope for life after death goes, being told that the amount of wrong and harm you've done is not taken into consideration, well, this is rather unique in religious traditions worldwide. This is a unique spiritual vision that the Buddhist tradition opens up for us. Many religions, hundreds of them, promise a happy life in the future for those who are good. Why should that matter? Why should it matter? Living a good, wholesome life now has everything to do with how much health and happiness you will have now, here, and in the nearby future. In terms of who receives help, why should it matter? We're all driven by needs and desires. We're all at least a little bit selfish in fulfilling those needs and desires, and meeting those needs and fulfilling those desires. Some of us are a little worse than most. Others are slightly better than most. What kind of sense does reward and punishment make? How much difference is there between us? the world we live in is really like, who is to judge us? Any of us. All the Buddhists see us drowning in greed, anger, stupidity, and groundless anxieties. They don't judge us. One thing flows from another and not be separated from the web of life. One is intermixed with others. There are these utterly separate individuals to be judged. Who would be so bad as to deserve eternal suffering? Who would be so bad as to deserve endless, joyous, meaningful life? I don't deserve endless, joyous, meaningful life, but it's given to me by the realm of enlightenment itself. Enlightenment opens out to include us. The Buddha's vow promises us this. We will be included. Perhaps we don't particularly deserve endless life in joy, purity, and goodness, but it's given to us anyway. It's opened out to us anyway. It is one life. In all inconceivable dimensions, this is one reality. Those who awaken to goodness and truth, Buddhas want to share that goodness and joy with all living beings, not just those who are already good, not just those who are faithful. Everybody goes this time. Everybody goes this time. Shinran saw this clearly in the Pure Land teachings, about 800 years ago. Shinran saw this universal promise being shared with aristocrats. Some of you may be descended from aristocrats, not me. Only because Shinran, his teacher Shonin, and a few of his fellow students like Seihaku carried this message of liberation to ordinary people. Why would they judge us? How could they exclude us? Enlightenment is life illuminating itself. There is no exclusion. None of us will be left out. Amida Buddha held out a realm of life that includes us all. Shinran took this teaching to anyone who would listen. Shinran found an immense spiritual being shared by the sons of aristocrats. He brought it down to all of us. There are various kinds of treasure. Our storehouse of spiritual treasure becomes more full every time we share it. That doesn't work with your bank account. It does work with spiritual treasure. Every time you share it, you have more. Every time you share joy, you have more joy. Every time you share kindness, you have more kindness. Shinran Shonin shared this Nembutsu teaching with anyone who would accept it. Amida Buddha opens out a realm of beauty, joy, and goodness for all of us. After 60 years teaching persons of all economic classes, Shinran became ill. He passed away at the age of 90, and we recall him gratefully today. I am very thankful for Shinran for having listened to this. I would never have got it on my own. Thank the Buddha for his work. I would never have got it on my own. Thank you for joining us in this Onko service, where we commemorate our denomination founder, Shinran, who passed away 1263. And time of it in the still very fresh new year of 2023. Happy New Year. Thank you for joining in the Onko service. We'll close the Dharma message portion of the service, as usual, by saying the Nembutsu a few times as you wish. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Nam Lam Kabas. Nam Nam very much.
Thank you, Sensei. The program says that we're going to have installation of temple officers now. However, it hasn't been officially voted upon yet, so we're going to defer the installation for a later date. So we're going to start with that and go right to the Gatha. So please rise for Gatha Shinshushuka on page 156. All right, you may be seated. Are there any announcements at this time?
Hi, I'm Kathy, and my term as president should be coming to an end today, please. And after this, during the general meeting, which will follow this service, and our New Year's luncheon, when you leave the Hondo, please go over to the classrooms, and you'll be able to check in. And the bento should be arriving around 11:15, I believe. Is that what it is? So we look forward to, if you've pre-ordered a bento, you can pick it up in the classroom. You can consume it here, or you can take it on home. So I thank everybody for coming out and celebrating the New Year's with us today. It's so wonderful to see all of your faces and not inside a tiny little box. So I welcome all of you back and hope we can all work together during this current year to make the temple even stronger and a happier place to be. very much for coming today.
Sensei, any announcements? No? We're good? Anyone else? Okay, thank you again for everybody today for this very